An interesting list that came out of nowhere from Bleacher Report. Now, I do want to say this first of all, that Michael Jordan was ranked the #1 player in NBA history according to Bleacher Reports. They had 100 players ranked. Staff members of their team did the voting, etc. So I wanted to get into something because I know, if you know anything about me, you know I'm a LeBron James fan. So I'm not here to talk about LeBron James being #2. Because even though I do think it's odd that Michael Jordan only played 15 years, LeBron is working on year 23. And for some reason, it seems like his story has already been written, even though he just had another All-NBA team last year. But you know what? Again, I'm not going to get into that. I don't think it's fair. I think people have made up their minds despite one guy still playing, which again is weird to me. So we're going to scroll back to who's ranked #5 on this list, okay? #5 player after Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, in comes #5, Bill Russell. So Bill Russell obviously flexes 2 things in his NBA career. #1, he won 11 NBA championships, which, to be fair, is amazing no matter how many teams you play with. 11 rings in 13 years deserves our round of yes, our round of applause. And I didn't say it over because I feel like it cuts me off sometimes. But yeah, well, Bill Russell deserves our credit, okay? The guy was amazing. And they also call him the defensive player, the best defensive player ever, even though there's no steals and blocks to back that up. We're just going to have to take their word for it, okay? Because obviously Boston media does what they do. So then comes Shaq after Bill Russell. Then comes Tim Duncan, Larry Bird, because of course Boston, and then comes Wilt Chamberlain. And the same people who will argue, well, Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points against plumbers and part-time employees. That is true. But why did you put Bill Russell at #5? That's where I'm concerned, okay? Bill Russell's lowest ranking for the Bleacher Report staff was #10. The lowest for Wilt Chamberlain was #11, but they ended up averaging out #5 for Russell, #9 for Chamberlain. Folks, I'm going to give you some stats, okay? Most of us, if not all of us, if we even care about this conversation, we're not alive to see this. And if we were alive, you might have been 2 years old. And I'm being generous, okay? So let's look at what we know. In the regular season, not their head-to-head matchups, just regular, what did they average for their entire career? Wilt Chamberlain averaged 30 points and 23 rebounds. Bill Russell averaged half as much points at 15 and 22.5 rebounds. Advantage goes in that realm, regular season, to Wilt Chamberlain. 1 point. Both averaged around 4.3, 4.4 assists. Field goal percentage. Let's get to that. Wilt Chamberlain averaged 54% shooting for his regular season career. Bill Russell averaged 44%. Advantage, Wilt Chamberlain, who's now got 2 points. Let's get to this. Awards. How many times did Wilt Chamberlain win the MVP? 4 times. Bill Russell won it 5 times. Now, credit there, a point for Bill Russell, even though I'm looking at these numbers and I'm still confused on how that's even possible. Again, a guy averaged twice as many points, but the other guy gets the MVPs. Like, you understand? Do you see why that's weird? Okay? But still a point for Russell. 2-time champ for Wilt, 11 for Russell. Great, good for him. And despite those 4 and 5 MVPs, Wilt Chamberlain somehow managed 10 All-NBA teams. Bill Russell managed 11. Again, one guy was the clear-cut MVP 5 times despite scoring half as many. Just weird to me. Okay, let's do their playoff match. Let's do, first of all, their regular season matchups again. So this is when Wilt against Bill, same position. We don't got LeBron being a small forward and MJ being a shooting guard. We got center, mano a mano, okay? Now, Bill Russell's teams won these games 57 times compared to 37 for Wilt, okay? But how'd they play in those games? Wilt Chamberlain, 30 points, 28 rebounds. The defensive anchor, the best defensive player ever, how did he play against Wilt Chamberlain? 14 and 23. Now, I could be wrong, but I feel like people are rewriting history here. Again, the best defensive player ever allowed, on average, Wilt Chamberlain against him to score 30 and 28. That's the best defensive player ever. A guy who's not as good at winning on defense held his man to 14, to half as many points. So again, I'm confused how that works, okay? They are matched up against each other. You cannot dispute those numbers. One guy double the other guy, but the guy who scored averaged 14 in those 94 matchups was the better defensive. That's weird to me. Let's do playoffs, okay? Because that's when it mattered. They played 49 games against each other in the playoffs. Bill Russell won 29-20. Cool. It's almost like he had the better team. Let's do the individual comparison again. The best defensive player ever, according to the media, is Bill Russell. Wilt Chamberlain averaged in those 49 playoff games against Bill Russell 26 points, 28 rebounds. Bill Russell, 15 and 20. Hold on to 15, 25. Hold on now. Hold on. I'm confused again. The guy who's the best defensive player with no stats to back that up is getting punked by Wilt Chamberlain. Hold on. That doesn't make any sense to me. Again, we can argue championships were blue in the face, but how come those same people, because apparently that's all that matters in this debate, those same people think Robert Horry winning 6 or 7 championships means nothing. Well, why? Why? Because he didn't score a lot. Now, I'm not saying Bill Russell's not better than Robert Horry, because he is. But, again, the guy who you claim is the best defensive player ever got smacked around like a fish. He got pumped. He looked afraid. And Wilt Chamberlain is 4 spots below. Listen, when you have stats in sports, they do a good thing about validating how you felt. I don't care how emotional or how much you love the Celtics. That right there is you. You're lying. You're lying to everybody. I don't see how that's possible. Again, we can argue 11 is greater than 2 all we want to. I could have sworn everyone on the team got a championship ring, not just Bill Russell. Like, am I like, hold on now. Why is it? Oh, and by the way, you remember that time that Jerry West, I know none of us do, but Jerry West once won a finals MVP. Do you know who he won that over? And Jerry West's team lost, by the way. The Celtics. Bill Russell. Isn't that strange? As great as Bill Russell was, the first time they implemented the finals MVP, Jerry West's team lost, and he got finals MVP over Bill Russell. who's the 5th best player ever. Again, I'm not saying Bill Russell is not a top 10 or 15 player. Of course, sure, great. But what's the argument for him over Wilt Chamberlain? Is it as simple as team accomplishments? And again, I'm not going to sit here and say that Bill Russell was not deserving of those championships. I think he had the second greatest numbers ever in that era. But everything, like, y'all give Bill Russell so much credits, and Wilt Chamberlain not just dominated him in regular season stats away from each other. When they were head-to-head, Wilt Chamberlain punched him around. And y'all want to convince me that Bill Russell is the better player. I can't. The fact that Wilt Chamberlain actually managed to win 37 regular season games, the fact that it was so close in the playoffs, 29-20, makes me even more sold that Wilt Chamberlain dwarfed this guy. I cannot even fathom how those stats are so much better. Yet Bill Russell is the greatest defensive player ever. Why? Because someone told you so? Guys, I'm again in the playoffs when it mattered. 30 on Bill Russell's head. Wilt put 26 and 28 on average over 49 games. And Bill managed 15 points in 25. That's impressive. For the mental gymnastics you have to do to try to convince people that Bill Russell was better and his defense was better, but the guy punked him. Can you imagine a guy averaging 30 on you? Boy, I'm the greatest defensive player ever. Boy, people would laugh in your face. They would laugh at you in any sports era. Because no one saw it. We just have to go with what these weirdos told us. It's unbelievable. Again, those are head-to-head stats. And I'm honestly stunned at Bill Russell being 4 spots ahead because championship, yep, that's it. All that matters. And yeah, that's all that matters, sure. But if we're going to do that, then Robert Horry, I guarantee you, Robert Horry is not in the top 50 on that list. Guarantee it. Might not even be the top 100. Why? Why is that? I don't know. You tell me. It's a fun conversation, though, considering none of us saw these guys play. But again, the information is right there. You tell me. Who was better? I'm confused. Oh, and by the way, the career high for Bill Russell in points, if I'm not mistaken, this man never had a 40-point game in his life, okay? Now I'm going to Google this again real quick to make sure. Bill Russell, in his NBA career, scored, and he had 963 games to do this, folks. Bill Russell scored 37 points as his career high. Wilt Chamberlain, career 50-point games. Okay? 50-point games. He has 118 of them. And Bill Russell never scored 40 in a game. It is borderline impressive, the gymnastics that media tries to paint. It's unbelievable. One guy dropped 50, 118 times, and one guy never cracked 40. But yep, all defense championships. Wow. Man, give me a freaking. You guys are so full of it. It's unbelievable what these people try to convince you of. All right. So it has me looking again like this. It's weird.